Hi. So, welcome everybody. My name is Micah Sifry.
I'm Doug Rushkoff.
This is Doug Rushkoff. And we thought we'd start each by talking for a couple minutes, and then maybe go back and forth a little, and hopefully we'll have plenty of time to open it up to you. And I'm going to start because if you know anything about Doug Rushkoff, you know that you shouldn't speak after him. And he's graciously allowed me to take advantage of that fact and go first. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why I wrote WikiLeaks in the Age of Transparency, and which is meant not to be so much a book about WikiLeaks itself as the moment and the larger trend that we are living in, that WikiLeaks represents but is just one piece of. And the book does touch on the organization and Julian Assange, who I know and who's spoken at Personal Democracy Forum twice. And so I do weave that into the story. But I think the larger story is the age that we're in is one where two big changes are happening at the same time and combining. And the first one is that activism has become more social. It is much more a spontaneous phenomenon, one that anybody can start. You don't need permission to create something that has the potential to go global. You just need something compelling that you want to say, and thanks to the network with the small n, not the old networks like ABC, CBS, and so on, if your message is compelling, it will spread, and the effects of that we're living in constantly now. The other thing that's changing is the way that information itself, data, is becoming more pervasive and fluid and easy to combine and easy to make new meaning from. And when you combine these two things together, the ease of entry into the political conversation and all the information we have to work with, new information and new ways of combining it, that is what I would argue is the age of transparency. And I want to distinguish between transparency and privacy, because a lot of people, I think, make the mistake of combining the two of them. And so when you hear about WikiLeaks and the fact that there is now a transnational organization that seemingly is beyond the reach of any government because it's situated all over the world, that people can leak information to and expose the secrets of who knows. A lot of people immediately say, well, I couldn't live in such a world because what if my secrets were exposed? What if my business dealings? What if my personal, skeletons in the closet? And I think that it is really important to distinguish between the movement for transparency and the need for personal privacy, okay? Transparency is what people with relatively less power need to do or get from people with more power so that we can scrutinize their actions and hold them accountable. And some of those people are beginning to understand the need to be more open, but in most cases we have to do it to them until they get it. And that when they don't act in transparent ways, we're not going to trust them anymore because of how they've used secrecy to hide truths from us. The flip side is that privacy, for the most part, is about what people who lack power need against people who have power. At the moment, your privacy is being eroded in all kinds of ways. How many people are carrying a cell phone? How many of you have shut off your GPS location button on the cell phone? So, Verizon or AT&T is collecting information on where you are minute by minute. That's how they get the phone calls to get to you. But it also means that that information is now trackable. Same thing with Facebook. How many people here have read the terms of service on their Facebook account all the way through? Not a person is raising their hand. How many of you are aware how often Facebook has changed those terms to take things that used to be private and now make them public? I bet a few more people are aware of that. So this brave new world that we're in that is giving us all these wondrous free services, or seemingly close to free services, is also stealing away our privacy. And that's not even to mention what the government can do to listen in on your phone calls or to search your email or to do these things without a warrant. So privacy is in danger, but it is not endangered by transparency organizations. Julian Assange has said very clearly that the more power you have, the more transparent you should be. The less power you have, the more privacy you should have. And I have not seen any evidence that WikiLeaks is after your personal laundry list. Last point, and I'm going to hand it to Doug. The other key thing that's happening is, and this is why I'm optimistic about the times that we're in, is that the gap between what powerful people say they do and what they actually do is now being challenged in a forceful new way. That's always been the job of journalism, is to ask questions and expose the doings of the powerful. The problem we've had with journalism, we have many problems, but one very big one is that journalism inevitably lives somewhere, right? The newspapers that publish in the United States all sort of stop their questioning when they reach the water's edge, and they turn into sort of state cheerleaders. And so there are kinds of questions that they don't ask about the way our country is run, simply because they are based here. And they're also easily intimidated. The way that Amazon took WikiLeaks off its servers is a good example of how easy our seemingly open and free internet can be turned into something very controllable simply because a powerful senator staffer called up somebody at Amazon and said, do you know you're hosting WikiLeaks on your servers? When are you going to take it down? But now we have other platforms that are not state-based. And we have a network of people who are committed to making sure that that information that one state doesn't want to get out may yet get out and be visible to all of us. So we have a new potential to hold the powerful accountable, and that makes me optimistic. It's a dreadful world we live in, but when was it ever any better? Actually, I should reframe that. I think that the times we live in are very exciting, and that the potential to hold the powerful accountable is now in many, many more hands, and it's just up to us what we decide to do with it. And with that, I give you my friend Doug Rushkoff.
Interesting. I mean, to continue from where you left off, there's a guy in my town. I was talking about the WikiLeaks thing, that I was going to come do this event. He said, that WikiLeaks guy, they should just catch him and shoot him in the head. And this is a guy who I would normally, consider kind of a Hillary Clinton lefty, kind of basically of accord with how I think politically. And I was trying to think, how does that happen to someone, right? How do they get to the place where, like, this guy should just be shot in the head? And it's not because he's watching Fox News. It's not because Glenn Beck got to him. I think it has to do with, it's because of the precise moment we're in, transitioning from an electronic media age to a digital media age. The moment of transition is this transparency. The first thing that we seem to have gotten at the hinge between the electronic age, the television, the radio age, the age where you turn on the thing, you accept your programming and just watch it. The thing that we got as we transitioned, I mean, if you looked at the arts right before the transition, we got the cut and paste of William Burroughs and Brian Geisen. We got hip hop and remixing and mashup. What we got was people repurposing, deconstructing the media that they were being fed their whole lives, right? So we took it apart. We took our tools. First thing that anybody ever noticed on a Mac was cut, paste, copy. Right now we can mash up this stuff. We get some transparency. We can see into the TV. We can take it apart and understand, oh, that's this man's message. Oh, that's this man's message. Oh, they're doing this. We reach that kind of adolescent ad busters, no logo-ish kind of readiness to take apart what they're doing. And I look at WikiLeaks as kind of the ultimate, the most mature expression of that. This is what they're saying. This is what they mean. I remember Burroughs used to say when he would